usually signal trouble ahead. All right. Morning, everybody. Shkayach. Oh, good question. What page? Nun Aleph. No. Sorry, I lied to you. None. All right. None. Yeah. Page 50.
Noon, huh?
None. No. Noon. None.
High noon.
All right. So left off yesterday is telling different stories about wealth. So speaking of which, famous Gemara, I think it's also in Ksubas. So 3 lines in the top on Nun Amud Aleph. Rabbi Akiva says Kadesh Le Barte the Kabbalah Sabur. So Rabbi Akiva became engaged, betrothed to the daughter of Kabbalah Sabur, who was a very wealthy individual. So he heard about this, and he heard one of his workers, his shepherds, Amoretz, not from good lineage. He heard about this, didn't want her to go ahead and get married. If you marry him, I will ask her all of my possessions from you. You'll not be able to get Hana. If you marry him, right? So Ozla, Vinasele, she heard, nevertheless, went through and got married eventually to him in the I guess in the winter. So Havu Ganabe Tivna, so they had no money because they weren't being supported by her father, and he went back to go ahead and learn. Zavi Ganabe Tivna, or to learn how to learn, right? The first grade, right? The famous case, right? Zavi Ganabe Tivna, Havi Kamanakile, Tivna Minamazai. So they would go ahead, they would live basically like in a little barn, right, with straw, and he would have to go ahead and pick straw out of her hair. So Amar Lo, he said to her, Ramina Alaich Yushalayim Dabo. If I would have had any money for jewelry, this Yushalayim Zav, right, this type of ornament that the women used to wear, like sort of like a crown upon their heads, I would have given it, I would give it to you. Nevertheless, we're here, we have no money. Also, so came Eliyahu Navi. He appeared as a person with Kokari above it, knocked on the gate. So I opened the gate. He says, "Oh, how can I help you, my friends?" Amalu, Havili Purta, the Tivna, the Alti, Isisi Velesli Midami Laguna. I need some straw. My wife just gave birth. She has nowhere to go ahead and lie down. We don't even have any straw. So Rabbi Akiva said, "Okay, sure." Samarla, Rabbi Akiva, Lindsay, Chazi Gavi, Dafila Tivna, Allah Isla. You see, right? We're not so bad off. Right? This person, we're not the poorest. This person that's getting, they don't even have straw, right? We're fortunate enough to have so much straw. I had to pick it from your hair, right? They didn't even have straw. Samrale, she said to them, Zil Habi Bey Rav. Okay, it's time now. It's time for you to go ahead and go out to yeshiva. Right? You're done with the first grade now. Go to yeshiva. Also, so Azal he went. Tarti Sari Shani Kame the Rebbe Eliezer Rebbe Yeshua. He went for 12 years and learned before Rebbe Eliezer Rebbe Yeshua. So the Mishnah, Tarti Sirei Shani at the end of 12 years cause. So the base say he was going back to his house. 12 years. He set his alarm on his phone for 12 years. Came back. Yeah, it was 12 years is up. So Shama Minachrei Besa. So he heard her having a conversation behind the door. The Kamer Lachad Rosh, a certain person in Russia said to her, right? It was good that what your father, Kabbalah Sabur, did to you, that he forbid his possessions to you. First of all, he's not aristocratic. He have good yichus, right, like you. So first of all, that was the first red flag. Furthermore, he has left you like a living widow, right? Like a widow all these years. In other words, you've basically been living alone for all these years, alone in poverty, like a woman who lost her husband. Samra Lay, she said, turned back to this guy who was talking to her. Right? If I was able to, if he would listen to me, I would tell him to go ahead and learn for another 12 years. So Amr Hoyel be obviously should say. So he heard this whole conversation behind the door. So he says, "But his Rishus says, since she's giving me Rishus, I do that. I'm going to go ahead. Right? So I'm going to go ahead and go back to yeshiva." So other Azal Havi Tarti Sari Shani Nachonaisa. So he went and went for another 12 years, right? Chaim Shmulevitz is a famous shmooze, right? And in this case, why didn't he just, knock on the door, or at least have a cup of coffee, then go back? Why did he immediately turn around, right? So he said, sometimes,
straight
12 plus 12 is not the same as 24. So even, you learn to have a brief, even a brief, a brief bezmanim, right? That breaks it up. So, so therefore, fine. Anyway. At the end of 12 years, and he came back with 24,000 pairs of students. So then he became, his name was great throughout the land with all these students, thousands of students, and people came to go ahead and greet the great Rebbe Kiva when he was returning to town. So too she, right? She went to go ahead and meet the Gadol Ador who's returning to town. Rashia. So another Russia said to him, where are you going? Dressed like this. It's a proper Samarlei. Right? The tzaddik knows the soul of his behema. He knows that the reason why I'm poor and all that is because I gave up, from this world in order for him to go ahead and learn. So also that so when he was getting closer, so the Rabbanan that saw this lady was sort of dressed like this, so they basically pushed her out of the way. The Gadol is coming. So Amar Lahum, he told him, leave her. That which is mine, that Torah that I have achieved, and that which you have learned from me is all because of her, right? Because of the her willingness to go ahead and send me to live in poverty was for all of us. So Shama Kavah Savua heard that this great sage was in town. He also heard that I guess his son-in-law, right, was not, that he wanted to basically, became a Talmid Chacham and did not really want to go ahead and continue his nether. So also Vishal Ba'al Nidra. So he went there and Vishal the nether, Vashture Vishtare, right? Then he mattered, and then Rebbe Kiva mattered the nether that there was no longer a place. Right. So he was right. So I guess when he asked him, right, so there was a Pesach in there for the right. So really a question is, well, what do you mean? So this is something I knew. This is noilad, right? It can't be matter something for a noilad, right? So that even though before the marriage, right, it wasn't even to be a great Talmid Chacham, even to learn. He said, so he said. And then, so it was said over there that even for one pasuk, if you learned a little bit, would you have aser? And of course not. So he didn't think there was going to be one pasuk learned, and it turns out, even though it wasn't just because it was a Gadol Ador, but even for less than that, he would have, not made the nether, and with that, he was able to go ahead and be mater his nether. Now, from 6 ways, right, Rabbi Kiva become wealthy. Kala Savua. So first was Kala Savua, as you just saw, is a very wealthy father-in-law. Ila de Spinoza, right, from the mass that was part of the I guess on the ship, on the boat, right? The Schol Spinos Avila mean Ina. So all boats, I guess, have this mass that's upon it. And so he became wealthy from one that all of them had. Right. The story. So the story over here is so it's saying over here that one time that every ship has one, and then one time he found one by the sea, and he found it. He found it, and he was going to return it, and it was all the there was a lot of, I guess, riches and the profit were hidden in there. And since he was honest, they allowed him to go ahead and keep it. So therefore he became wealthy from this. Gavs, and also from a treasure chest. One time he gave money to different sailors. Here's 4 zoos. He says, go ahead and purchase something with his 4 zoos. And they didn't find anything. Ella Gavza, Hakif Yama, rather some chest off by the sea. So Amrulay Abid Marna left. So he says, okay, this is all we have. This is all we found. And so he said, so use this. And Ishkach Dahavi Male Dinar. And he saw that it was full of many golden coins, and therefore he became wealthy from that. A treasure chest. The Zinicha Tavas Svinasa, that means, and how did that become? The Zinicha Tavas Svinasa, that means Sakrisa. One time there was a ship, another ship that was loaded with travelers, right? The businessmen, and it sank in the sea. The Kuli Alma Havimachis Gavs was looking for that. Zina, that means Sakrasa. Then no one was able to find it except for Rebbe Kiva, and therefore he was able to go ahead and keep all these treasures.
Gemara is just describing the chest.
Right. In other words, how did it become?
It's not a new point.
Right. It was. This was the case. This was case number. Right. Well, the first one was Kava Segua. Right. Second one was the mast that was part of the ship. And this was the third. The next one was the one that he bought this treasure chest, right, from these sailors. And this was the one that was off in the sea and it was sank, and he was able to go ahead and keep that one. Umin, and then another time he became wealthy. Umin Maturanisa, from Maturanisa, for a certain woman, right? The Ran over here brings the case. Basically, that a woman, Rabbi Kiva, needed to borrow money, so he basically lent money. She says, who's going to be the co-signer? She said, Hashem will be the co-signer. It was time for him to go ahead and repay the loan, and Rabbi Kiva happened to be sick, and therefore he couldn't go ahead and pay the loan back. And she turned to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and said, "No, you got to pay up. You were the co-signer. I'm going to you for payment." And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu had it that the daughter of the Caesar threw all her riches into the sea, and those washed up ashore upon this lady's property, and she got paid. And Rabbi Kiva got better. He says, "Okay, here's the the $50 I owe you." She says, "Okay, good news. Your co-signer, your Arev, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, basically paid already the money back. So here, I'll take the $50, or you don't keep your $50. And by the way, he paid a little bit of overage. Instead of $50, he paid $126 million, and here's the overage amount, and therefore he kept it. So that was another way that Rabbi Kiva became wealthy. Turn the page. Umin ishto shel Tranusvis, right? So also the wife of Turnus Rufus. And
who is he?
He was involved by the Romans, right?
Was he a king?
No, I think he was one of the officers. Yeah, he was a Russia, right?
Was he a king?
No, he was a governor or something under the Caesar.
Well, he was a governor, something.
So,
he's going to Bar Kokhba revolted against.
Yeah. So over there, so the Maisa brings down that basically, so he used to go ahead and argue. And have debates, and basically Rabbi Kiva would out debate him right in front of the Caesar, and basically she was upset that this guy was doing it. She says, let me go ahead and make him fail. So she went ahead and basically wanted to go ahead and succor him and sort of deceive him and perhaps bring him to sin. So she went ahead and she got all dressed up and put on all her makeup and all that. Then she went out to greet Rabbi Kiva, and he had three reactions. He spit. He let's see, Rashi brings all down, right? She said, right, Rock laughed and cried, right? He spit, laughed, and cried. She says, what is this reaction when you saw me? So he said, I spit, when I saw you, that for a second I was thinking perhaps a potential Aveira, but basically you come from spit, and you will end up, and therefore there's nothing to this, and therefore he spit. He cried because eventually such beauty will end up, full of worms in the ground. But he refused to tell her why he would laugh, and basically he was laughing because he saw in the future that she would go ahead and divorce her husband, and even though she was anti-Jew, she basically would go ahead and convert and become his wife. And basically she wanted to know if there's a way to do tshuva, and he basically sort of said that she, potentially she could do tshuva, and she did tshuva, she converted, and then she became his wife without him telling her.
He died.
Her husband, right. So he died, and she basically did tshuva, and she ended up marrying Rabbi Kiva, and that's another, and so therefore he basically got her wealth, and that was another way that he became wealthy. And finally, Umin Katia Bar Shalom, also from Katia Bar Shalom. that he was an officer, basically was sent out to go ahead and it was a debate what to do with the Jews, and should we just get rid of them now, like like a bad piece of flesh, on one's body, or should we keep them? And everyone said, cut it off. He says, how can you cut it off? People, first of all, you won't be able to cut off the Jews. And second of all, people will say the only reason why I became kingdom is because, you weren't able to do it. It wasn't like a full empire because you didn't even have the Jews under you. And therefore you said, you're right, but you can't go ahead and argue against Caesar. And therefore you're going to go ahead and sentence to death and on his way to death. Basically, he was told, is there anything for me for the world to come? Rabbi Akiva says, well, if you converted and became a Jew, then, you would have had a world to come. So he gave himself a bris milah on his way out to execution. And basically he said, all my wealth goes to Rabbi Akiva. So that was another way that Rabbi Akiva achieved wealth. Fine. 2 dots. Top of no base. So Rav Gamda Yavi Ledar Bezuzay Sunay similar Maisas he once gave four zuz to these sailors, Suibahud, to go ahead and bring them something. So they didn't go ahead and find anything. Sasulei Bahun Kufa. So they found, I guess, a monkey. Here you got a monkey. So they showed al Karta. So the monkey sort of ran away. They chased him out. They dug to go ahead and get him. They dug the Rabia Margalisa. So they saw basically this monkey was hiding by these treasures, by these pearls, by these precious stones. And they brought in all these, all these precious stones, these pearls. So therefore, he found it through this monkey. So there's another, I guess, Siyat Shmaya of Rav Gamda becoming wealthy. Summerly based Kesar the Rabbi Shua ben Chananya. So says the daughter of the Caesar to Rabbi Shua ben Chananya, Torah mufuruach kulei mechur, right? The beautiful Torah, right? Is in such a disgusting kli such as yourself, right? Insulting him. Summerly. Lamidim beis abucha, right? B'may manichin yayin. So she said, okay, let me ask you a question. Right, and what do you go ahead and where do you go ahead and put your wine? Right, but why don't you tell me something that you guys do in your, in the Caesar's house? Where do you guys put your wine? Samarlei, the mind of the pachra. We put them in earthenware vessels to go ahead and store the wine. Samarlei, kuliyama the pachra. Right, everyone, even the poor people, put it in earthenware vessels. Vasin the mind the pachra, and you are so fancy. Daughter of the Caesar, you guys also put your wine in the same sort of vessels that everyone else uses. So also, go ahead and you should put it in silver and gold vessels. So she went. She said, "Oh, good idea." She went ahead and put the wine in silver and golden vessels. And to the surprise of nobody, the sorry, and they started to go bad. They start to sour because they don't store well in there. Samrala. So he said to her, so too over here, right? The way to preserve, right, the wine is to put it in quote unquote disgusting vessels. So too the way to preserve Torah is to put it, people that are not so handsome. But she said, Va'ika Shapira Gamir, our very handsome Talmidei Chachamim. Amala, son of Havi Gamir Tfei. Yeah, you're right. And Achanami, you're right. But if they were uglier, then they would even be greater Talmidei Chacham. Ideas the Talmidei Rabbi Yehuda. I mean, the Hardia Ladino. One time there was a woman came for Rabbi Yehuda in the Hardia for based it. Vizchavis min Dina, and he was found her to be chayiv. She was not too happy. Amarlei Shmuel Rabcha Hachi done it. Right? Would Shmuel rule like this? Amarla. So he said to her, Yadas. Now they start playing Jewish geography. Yadaslay, right? You know it. Samrala. She said, yeah. Gutzav the Rabbi Karsei. And Ucham the Rabbi Shine. Yeah, I know him. He's short. He's fat. Right. He's long teeth. He's dark. Basically insulting him. So Amar La. So he said to her, "B'zuya Kosis, right? Did you come over here to be mevazim, to insult him? You should be in Cherem. You should be excommunicated." And then what happened? Paka umesa. Then instead of doing tshuva, then she basically she died. She paka, right? Normally means to explode, right? She paka umesa. Basically from this excommunication, didn't even get out of excommunication because her attack on the physical features of Shmuel. Fine. Back to the Mishnah. So the Mishnah said, a person makes a nether from certain types of dishes or cooked foods. It depends on what the meaning of the expression is. And so we said that the Mishnah said, person may a kainen tavshim time so us raisa kadera rachmot bi'av. Right. So he said a person says kainen from tavshil, right? From a dish, right? From a tavshil, right? So also raisa kadera can't go ahead and raisa kadera, but mutter something thicker than others, things that are basically wooden. Are basically independent of bread, wouldn't be eaten with bread, something this is, sort of, it can be eaten on its own. That's not part of the dish. He's also a mutter with this beitza turmuta. What's a beitza turmuta? Right? So why one's a mutter this egg, mutter beitza turmuta, so my beitza turmuta, so Amar Shmuel. So Avda Davilei Shavi Alfi Dinari. An Eved who knows how to make this type of egg and can make it, he is worth 1,000 dinarim. It's very, very tough to go ahead and do. Umalei Alpha Zimne B'mai. What do? They go ahead and they bring an egg 1,000 times in the water, the Mai Chamima, and warm water. The Alpha Zimne B'mai Karire, and then we go from hot water to cold water to cold water, back and forth. Ad Mizutra Ki Heichidibals. Until it becomes so small, you're able to go ahead and swallow it. They means kiba, and if the person has a kiba, some sort of ailment, right? Sickness, right? So then basically go ahead and swallow it and wait for it, I guess, to come out, right? The pill to come out, and then they go ahead and see and they inspect the outside of this egg to see my sama and then you go ahead and basically inspect this egg that came out of him. See basically what was on the exterior of the egg. You can see what type of disease was bothering the person. Is it stomach ailments, is it chest, whatever it is, and able to go ahead and treat the person that way. So it was an egg that was designed there, but it's not made to be eaten with other things. So therefore, one is mutter to go ahead and take this egg. And Shmuel Avi badik nafshe bekucha. So he used to go ahead and check himself bekucha, another type of thing that you swallow and then you wait to see it comes out, to see it do it. And it was very painful. Until even the people watching him were in such pain from watching him being in pain, they would basically, pull their hair up. And Tanan Hos, we learn of there, so one is go ahead and work with the type of figs of kalufsin. He shouldn't go ahead and eat shavua. Right, to eat those type of b'nai sheva, right? Those type of figs. And b'nai sheva, he's working with b'nai sheva. Lo yechel the klufsin. It should not eat the klufsin figs. My klufsin mine the taina those type of figs. The avin, the avdi minayin minon lafti. So it's type of they used to go ahead and make dishes from this type of fig. How gaver the avi avde lechavre lugmuri alfe mine lepade lepade. So one time a person sent this Eved to his friend to go ahead and learn 1,000 dishes that one can go ahead and make from figs, right? Sounds like a cookbook, 1,000 ways to, cook your figs. So Agbere Timne Meya taught him 800 ways. So Azaladina, I clicked on your internet post, your commercial, and it said 1,000 ways, and you only taught 800. So you owe me 200, or you owe me some of my money back. False advertising. As the Dean is the comment to the Rebbe. He came for a Rebbe who's also very wealthy. Amar Rebbe, Avaseinu Amru, Nishinu Toiva, right? So our forefathers, our parents, they said, right? They forgot all about the Tova, right? The wealth. And even us in such wealth we've never seen, right? Who has heard of 1,000 ways to go ahead and make an egg? In other words, so a fig. Did I say an egg? I meant the fig. Sorry about that. Right? So never thought to make this type. We've never seen such experience as wealth. And yet the Yoma, right? My wife went to a wedding. The rumors are that the amount that's being spent there's beyond. Anyways, so Rabbi Abinay Helula, the Rabbi Shimon, the Rabbi. So yeah. So out in LA. So anyway, so Rabbi went to make the chasna for the Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi for his son, Rabbi Shimon. So Kasav al base Ganana Asim Baraboy Alfin Riboy Dinarim. So it was written on the wall, basically the wedding hall, that 240 million dinarim, right? 10,000 of 10,000, 240 million were spent al base Ganana Danim. However, all the millions of dollars that were spent on this chasna did not go ahead and invite one of the Gedolei Hador, Bar Kapara. So he said, if those people who don't listen to you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, i.e., look at this Midas, he didn't invite his old good friend. Imagine those who listen to you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, sort of like a back, like an insult to Rebbe. Basically saying that, look, if these people who don't listen to you, I don't invite their friends, have such wealth. Imagine people that do invite their friends, imagine the greatness of their wealth. So Azbnei saw Rebbe to the how can I forget? Of course, you're invited by Kaparas. People get rewarded in this world with such riches. Imagine the world to come. Those listen to you. Rebbe, you're a good guy, and thank you for inviting me. So Yaima, the Mechayich by Rebbe, since Rebbe was basically the Gadol Ador in days that he would laugh and he would not be able to give his full, complete 100% attention to making sure that nothing bad happens in this world. So you have the Machbei Rebbe that he would laugh. Piranhas, bad things would happen to the world because he for 2 seconds he wasn't, he was laughing and he wasn't davening or had this chusim for the world. So the Bar Kapara is dead. Bar Kapara, realizing with this power he has, do me a favor. Make sure I don't laugh, and I'll give you 40 bundles of wheat. So wait, let me think about this. The Chol agree with the Beina Shakila. First of all, I'll take whatever I want. They don't offer me 40. And Shakel Dikula Rabba, so he went ahead and took a basket. The Chayfe Kufra, then he went ahead and he sealed it around with tar so it won't fall through. The Savche Roisha, then he basically flipped it over upon his head. And the Azul is sort of making like laughter light of the situation. The Savche Roisha, the Azul Bamir Lake. Go ahead and give me that 40, right? Whatever the 40 bushels of wheat that you owe me. And Achmi Rebbe, and Rebbe laughed. Rebbe laughed at him, basically, asking for the same amount and turning it over in his head and doing all these, silly tactics. He laughed, which was the one thing he was not supposed to do. So Amarle. Did I tell you not to go ahead and make me laugh? That was the whole reason I pay you. Right? I'm only going ahead and trying to take the wheat that you offer me. So basically, he sort of made a mockery of this and caused Rebbe to laugh, and therefore, really, he was not deserving of this, of the things that are supposed to happen. All right, fine. We'll stop here. Shkoyach. Tomorrow at the Shabbat, we will continue from here. Everyone have a wonderful day. And